Lesson 20, Configuring Documents. In this chapter, we'll discuss about configuring documents, that is the invoice or the documents you print, you can configure the format for the same. In our earlier chapters, we have seen that how we have printed the invoice in standard format. Standard formats are our predefined formats that are created at the time of company creation. You can configure standard formats also. Plus, using the advanced option, you can design your format from the scratch. So in this chapter we'll discuss how you can configure the standard format and how you can use advanced option to design your own formats. For this we'll go to administration, configuration, invoice document printing option. Here three options are provided: standard, advanced and copy title configuration. First of all, we'll discuss the standard option. Using standard option, you can configure the standard format that is already created in Busy. Here we are selecting the standard option, and then we are selecting the sales invoice option, which means that we are configuring the standard format of the sales invoice. Here at the top you can see the first option is invoice heading. For this, options are provided. First is auto print tax invoice or retail invoice on the basis of sale type, that is automatically judge whether it's a tax invoice or a retail invoice on the basis of sale type and printed accordingly. Then is as mentioned in sale type. If you remember when we have discussed the sale type, then there were two fields provided in sale type, that invoice heading and invoice description. Whatever heading you have provided in the sale type in the invoice heading field, that will be printed here. Next is as mentioned below. On selecting this option, an invoice heading field gets activated. You can specify the invoice heading here and the same will get printed in the invoice. Next is none, that means you do not require an invoice heading. Then is company name and address. By default, the company name and address specified at the time of company creation is appearing here. If you want to make any modifications, you can make them. And then is the header field, that is if you want to print any header for the invoice. Here we have written number 1 in electronics business. Similarly, you can specify any other header or the tagline or punchline of your business. Then is header info, in which first field is pre-printed header. You can specify yes in this field if you are using a pre-printed stationery, that is on your paper, on the stationery you are using, company name, address, header, all these fields are already printed. Then on specifying yes in this field, a number of lines to skip field is appearing, in which you can specify that how many number of lines to be skipped before starting the printing. Here 6 lines are equivalent to 1 inch. So if you want to leave a 1 inch space, then you can specify 6 line here. One thing you'll notice here is that on specifying yes in the pre-printed header, company name, address and header fields are getting deactivated, because we assume that these fields are already printed on the paper or the stationery you are using. Here we are specifying no in the pre-printed header. And then is the body option. That means you can configure the invoice body section also. For this there are two options, automatic and self-configured. Automatic means the format as designed by Busy, and self-configured means that you can configure the invoice body section also. Here we are selecting the self-configured option. You can see all the fields pertaining to item details are appearing here. Here in front of certain fields 0 is appearing, which means these fields will not get printed because we have allotted 0 characters to them. So here we are specifying 8 characters in front of discount amount per unit, which means we want this field to be printed and on the invoice, and we are allocating 8 characters to it. Click the OK button. Here Busy is showing the message that total length should be 80, 96 or 136 characters. As we have added certain characters, so we'll decrease certain characters from other fields to make the printing aligned. That is, for the proper alignment of the invoice, we'll decrease certain characters from any other field. Here we have reduced additional field characters to 8 from 12, and in the item print name also we are making the character length as 32. Now click the OK button. So this is the self-configured part of invoice body section. Now we'll come to logo part. That means if you want to print logo of your company on the invoice, then you can use this section. Specify yes in the print logo option. Then specify the path where the logo is kept on your computer. Then is position, top left, top right or top center. That is the position at which the logo will be printed on the invoice. Here we are selecting the top right position. Then is print type, superimpose or create space. Superimpose means that the logo will be printed at its position, and onto its left or right or center the header part or the company name header of the invoice will get printed. If you select the create space option, then where the logo is printed, there nothing else will be printed. The header part of the invoice will get printed after the logo. So if you have selected the create space option, then invoice will start printing after the logo. Then is height and width. You can leave the height and width as 0 to consider the default height and width of the logo. But if you want to specify any height and width of the logo that will be printed on the invoice, then you can specify the same in inches. Here we are taking the height and width as 1 inch respectively. Then if you want, you can specify any declaration. In the footer section, terms and condition and signatory information is already provided. If you want, you can make any modifications in it. Now we'll come at the left hand side where a lot of printing options are provided. Here first option is print outer box and vertical lines. Specify yes in this field to print a box and the vertical lines on the invoice. Then is print pre-authenticated on invoice. If you want to print this particular term pre-authenticated on the invoice, then you can specify yes in this field. Print ITC eligibility, print copy title. You want to print ITC eligibility or copy title like first copy, original copy or duplicate copy, then you can specify yes in these fields. Then is print company PAN number, print party details, print voucher creation time, that is if you want to print the creation time of the voucher. Then are the print VAT separately with items in retail invoice and print VAT separately with items in tax invoice. You can specify yes in these fields if you want to print VAT separately for tax invoice or for retail invoice. Print narration, specify yes in this field if you want to print the narration as you have specified in the voucher. Then is print totals of quantity also. Print daily message if you want to print any daily message. Use full page for document. Eject page after printing. Print zero amount items and print zero amount bill sundries. If you want to print them, then you can specify yes in these fields respectively. Print non-impact bill sundries. Print billing shipping details separately. Print in landscape mode. You can specify if you want to print in landscape mode. Print page number in multi-page voucher. So you can specify yes or no according to your requirement. Then is the optional fields transport details printing. On clicking this button, you can specify how you want to print the optional fields or the transport details. For this, two options are provided. As specified in voucher series configuration, that is Busy should pick it from there, or as mentioned below. If you select this option, then you can enable the options that you want to print in the invoice. So this is the standard sales invoice configuration. Click save button to save this configuration. Now we are opening standard format for receipt invoice. You can see we have provided formats for all the invoices. You can make changes as per your requirement. Now we'll go to a sales transaction, open it in the modify mode. We'll print this invoice, we'll select the standard format, and in the invoice, first of all, you can see logo of the company is printed. An additional field with the name discount amount per unit is also provided. We have configured this field in the standard sales invoice format. So this is the output of the configuration you have done in the standard format of sales invoice. Now we'll open a receipt transaction in modify mode. We'll print this receipt transaction and you can see the format of the receipt invoice in standard format. Now we'll again go to the invoice document printing sales invoice standard format configuration. Here we are now making the logo as superimposed. That is, earlier we have selected the option as create space. Now we are taking it as to superimpose. Click save button. We'll again open the sales voucher in modify mode. Print it in the standard format, and in the preview you can see now how the logo is appearing. That is, printing is starting right from where the logo is printed. In the earlier format, printing is started after the logo. Here printing is started with the logo. Now we'll discuss our advanced option. For this, we'll go to administration, configuration, invoice document printing, advanced option. Using advanced option, you can totally design a bill or an invoice from scratch. That is, it is totally configurable. You can configure it as per your requirement. Here also you can see various formats are provided by Busy. You can create your own new format by clicking the add format button. Then is the header part. You can click this button to configure the header of the invoice. By using the Alt D key, you can load a default invoice format, and then using the print styles or available fields, you can add print styles or any field in the document. Then is body section. You can configure the body section of the invoice, footer section of the invoice. And then is page settings. On clicking this option, you can see a lot of printing options are provided. You can configure them as per your requirements, like number of lines for header, number of lines to be printed for body section, footer section. So this is totally configurable advanced section. You can design its header, footer, body section, and page settings also you can configure as per your requirement. Now we'll discuss the copy title configuration option. Using copy title configuration, you can configure the title for the copy or the invoice, like first copy, duplicate copy, original copy. So whatever you want to print as a copy title, you can specify here. Here we are configuring it for the sales invoice. You can see for the first, second, third copy, original copy, duplicate copy, triplicate copy are appearing respectively. You can change it as per your requirement. Here we have changed the title for first copy to first copy itself. Click save button to save this configuration. So now we'll open our sales transaction in modify mode. We'll click the print button and print it in standard format. At the top you can see first copy is appearing because we have specified the same title for it. You can specify it as original copy or any other title as per your requirement. So this is the invoice document printing configuration. At the end of the chapter, we have provided certain exercise. You can view the exercise on screen and attempt it. Hope after going through this chapter, you would be able to easily configure the standard and advanced format in Busy. Thanks for watching. For more videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.